So, hey, we're back again. It's Monday, Motivational Monday. Super excited about being here. We have Whitney Jacobs on with us. I am so excited that she's here. Hey, Whitney.
Hey.
So today we're going to be talking about sisterhood and what that means. So I'm going to have two people on this week. We got Whitney and then we'll have Chantel. So Whitney's going to provide a perspective coming from like a single lady. And I love the fact that she's in a sorority. Like I totally get that. Like I totally love that. I don't know what it means, but she does. Like, so she's going to explain that. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, why sisterhood is important and what that looks like in the context of just living life and everyday life and all that stuff. So Whitney, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, Whitney Jacobs. I am a personal trainer. I own a business called Freedom Fitness. As she said, I am in a sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I travel. I do healthcare IT as well, and I just love life. Love to have fun. Love to laugh. So.
Yeah. Whitney also is like a fitness person. Like up until, what was it, last year, the year before, you were playing basketball? Like super cool stuff, right? So Whitney, how did you and I meet? Because I love the story, but you can tell it.
I didn't put me on the spot. Hold on, I'm trying to see the first time we met. We went on a mission trip together, but I think, did we meet before that though?
No.
Okay.
No. I saw you from a distance.
We went to Thailand together for a mission trip. It was like a 10-day trip, 11-day trip.
Yeah.
So ministry across the world.
Yeah. So funny story. So I meet Whitney. Whitney and I just happen to be like in the same row together. And I'm a really huggy person. Like super friendly, I try to be. Anyway, so Whitney was like, okay, yeah, Whitney's friendly too. So I'm like, hey Whitney, I'm so excited that we're on this trip together. And she was like, well, if we were friends, like this is what I would say to you, and this is how we would hang out. And I was like, oh. So we're not friends. And she was like, no, we're not friends, not yet. No, I'm really selective with my friendships. And I was like, in my mind, I thought we're gonna be friends. Are we friends with Whitney? Are we friends, Whitney?
We are friends.
We are friends. And we've been friends for like 2 years now, right? Going strong. Yeah.
I'm trying to see what year we're in. I'm like,
yeah, 2020. Yeah. So we've been going strong for 2 years, being good friends for 2 years. Whenever Whitney comes to town, she lets me know. So we're friends. So I'm so excited. Okay. Let me get back serious again. So Whitney, what do you think about sisterhood? I mean, I feel like with Relationships Matter 2020, one of our main perspectives is to create an online community that encourages people to strengthen relationships, to build relationships, possibly even to end relationships if necessary, to restore relationships, to pray for relationships, to be personally healthy. So in your perspective, like how important or how valuable is sisterhood?
Okay. So when I think like when we talk about sisterhood, it is like people like the same way I feel about the term friends. Okay. So people tend to throw like these words around, oh, that's my friend, that's my this, but you never step up to help them. You will never like show correction or criticism and love. Like if they tell you like you're doing something wrong, you like throw them out. Like, oh, I can't believe they said this to me.
Yeah.
It tends to be like this, like thinking of like this little emotional type of thing. So when I think about like sisterhood, like I have 2 older sisters.
Yeah.
And actually, so we're all 2 years apart. So
right.
2 years and 4 years and so on. So I grew up, when we talk about quote sisterhood, and when we think about really like what sisterhood really is like that, it's not, you think about your siblings, guess what? You don't always like them, but you love them.
Right.
I mean, you disagree, you fight, but at the end of the day, you better not touch my sister. Right. We have a problem.
Okay.
Like, and I think about the same way of like sisterhood of like, I have your back, I love you. I might not always agree with you. You may get on my nerves, but at the end of the day, I have your back. I'm here to fight for you. I'm here to pursue the best for you as well. And it's like a shared experience as well, because we relate, like, even though I'm in the gym a lot, I'm in the boxing gym, so around a lot of guys all the time, but guess what? Women connect differently because it's a shared experience.
Yeah.
Men don't go through everything we go through.
No, they don't. They don't.
So, and we understand each other differently.
Yeah.
So having people who understand you just from that perspective, and I would say that even like culturally as well, like as Black women at times too, like it is a shared experience. And so that bond with people and going through situations where I don't really have to tell you, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are my sister, you truly understand, just like you're like blood relatives and siblings and sisters. There's some things like, somebody will say something to me, my sister will be like, you just look, because you get it. Like, we don't even have to say anything because you have a shared experience. Like, I'd be like, get your dad, get your brother, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know better. But it's one, like, I had to learn it a little bit more because, like I said, I grew up playing football with the guys, like, up until high school, like, playing tackle football with the guys up until, like, I hit high school. So, not that I didn't have good, like, female friends and, like, teammates and stuff, but learning, like, true, like, sisterhood and being vulnerable, that's a whole nother ball game, right? Like, it's different with your sisters. Your blood sisters, people who know you, you live in the same house. However, when you step outside and really talk about building intimate friendships and sisterhood, it requires you to have a level of vulnerability, which everybody, I had to learn that. I still be like, hold up. You're getting a little too close. You're getting a little too close. But it requires that, because if you can't be vulnerable and put your stuff on the table, you, like, people can't help you either. Like, it's a give and a take as well.
So you say friendship. It's friendship, you got sisterhood. Would you say that friendship is like a step before sisterhood, before you get to that level of connection? And of course, we're not talking about just blood relatives, but we're talking about, just like something that goes beyond that.
I think it can be. It just depends on how you view things. For me, when I talk about, as you know, friendship is like, it's almost like family to me. So I have this deal of, like, I heard Creflo preach this message about circles of friendship. Like, you have people in your outer circle, like acquaintances, and like everybody who's for what you're for is not exactly your friend, or they're against what you're against. That doesn't make you friends.
Okay.
And I know Miles Monroe, actually it's called Waiting and Dating, but he talks about intimate friendships. And the fact of this, I feel like with friendships, is if you can't tell me I'm wrong, are we really friends? Because keep me accountable. And I get, like, some of us have a little bit more blunt and, aggressive personality. So I get sometimes it's a little harder to tell some of us, hey, you're wrong. But it's very much needed. Because I need to grow too. So if you don't want to help me grow, how are you going to be my friend? Because that's what I'm going to tell you when I feel like, hey, get it together. So, but for some people who are more, I'm kind of like a extroverted introvert. Like, I very much enjoy me time.
Mm-hmm.
And so friendship is like very dear and close. Now for other people, like my sister is more like a social butterfly. Okay? So friendship, she has more, a broader, like, so my friendship circle is like here, her friendship circle is like here. It's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, and then to her, probably like sisterhood is a little bit closer. For me, they're kind of like simultaneous.
Okay.
Because you ain't getting in that close. Okay. Unless we've already established something like,
Yeah.
so, but it is a different experience, I would say, like as sisterhood. So I think it is a little bit closer than
Yeah.
friendship because I'll tell some people, oh, oh yeah, that's my friend. But if I'm like, oh, that's like my sister, now I take a little bit more ownership for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because just like any other sister, like I go to bat for, I mean, I go to bat for my friends, but it's a little bit different when I'm like, no, that's my sister.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, sisterhood is a little bit closer, more close knit.
Yeah.
But I guess it kind of depends on the person too, and how they identify with friendships and sister. Because everybody, when you think about even having siblings, it's not a, maybe some people like didn't have good
Yeah.
sister relationships and boundaries and things, so it can be like a trigger, really more of trauma to them. So
Yeah.
right.
I agree. I mean, I know that was something that I struggled with for a long time, especially when people were trying to come in closer. It just was like, ugh. I don't know. Let's just let's just keep it, keep it surface, but kind of on the inside, like I really wanted that connection. I just didn't know how. So when you say
Right.
intimacy, a lot of times I think people equate intimacy and friendship. They only kind of single it out to like male female relationship or romantic relationship or whatever. When you say intimacy and friendship, what do you mean?
Right. It's one of those things like I'm for what you're for. I am committed to your vision and the call on your life. And so I I would suggest like it's called Waiting and Dating by Miles Monroe. But in
Okay.
that book, he talks about developing intimate relationships and intimate friendships where it's not a physical thing; it can be emotional, mental thing. Um, about intimacy, like you know me, not just like what I put out there, but
Yeah.
you know how I operate. You know how I think. You know the things that trigger me. You know how to love me, and you are behind me pushing me to my goals. Like you're as committed to my calling as I'm committed to my calling,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So there's sacrifices in it as well, because like in any relationship there's a give and take, and the closer you are, because like they said, there's people that know you, then there's people that know you. So
Yeah.
you know the things that I struggle with, you know the things that trigger me or the trauma or whatever it might be, like your secrets of life, like
Yeah.
those are the people there with your intimate friendships, and that hey, you this is what you're trying to do in life, this is what you're about, this is the call of God in your life, I'm behind you 100%. Because everybody's not gonna do that. They're like, oh yeah, I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
But then there's like, what do you need me to help you with? How are we gonna get there together?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a more intimate, like these are like you talk about like doing things with people. There's people you go out with and have a good time with you'll never invite to your home.
Yeah.
Now there's people like, oh yeah, come over whenever you want, be up the wee hours of the night talking, and
Yeah.
they know your family, they know your parents, your kids. So
Yeah.
different levels of closeness, I would
Yeah. I
say.
like that. I like that. I like I told you before, I didn't understand that. Like that was a foreign concept. Number one, I don't have sisters. I just have a brother, right? And we're 4 years apart. So
Right.
the only like the closest relative to me was a cousin, so it wasn't like, I didn't grow up with sisters. So like it was super strange.
Right.
And then to understand that somebody would support you other than your family, like that was totally different. So you said you had to learn you said you had to learn what it looked like to be a friend to females. Like, what was your journey there?
Um, because I'm not saying like, so I obviously have female friends growing up, but as you get older and life challenges hit in different things, and especially like my personality,
Yeah.
I'm a very much independent. I can handle it myself. I don't need you. If I need you, I'll let you know, but I probably won't let you know anyway. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like,
Yeah.
so it like opening up to people, and especially like other women, because you go we have this thing in society where like women, like, we compete with one another even though we're not, and we don't even want the same things a lot of
Right.
the time. You know, like, we're
Wow.
sitting here like looking at each other, judging each other, like, oh, look at her, da, 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 da. And I'll say, like, some of the closest women to me that I found, like, were my teammates, because again, you have a shared experience.
Yeah.
You're going through the same pains together. Like, one of my best friends, LaShawn, we came into Iowa State together in track, and I will say, like, intimate friendship. LaShawn, like, it was one of the people who were like, "You're coming to church with me," and then I
Yeah.
got saved, and, like, you know, so understanding
It's like, come on.
and just knowing, like, and you grow in the growth throughout the, like, this time over, like, oh Lord, like 10, oh Jesus, like 14 years. Oh Lord. But
It's hard
learning
to
and
say. I
being
know.
vulnerable, that is probably one of the, like, first people that I was very vulnerable with about, like, how I feel about things or the things I went through. And she was the same way with me. We were hard on each other. We might have been like, fight at times or whatever else, but, like, she knew my mess, but she still loved me through it. And, like,
Yeah.
I'm your friend. I don't even typically even friends with people like you, but I'm gonna be your friend. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful. Like, those are God given relationships.
Yeah.
Um, and even being a team. And I think the most I learned it, and, like, when I first started to, like, when I got saved, and there's a lady named Tosca. Well, Tosca's a good one. And I got saved, and people at the church would be like, "Well, you're just like Tosca." I'm like, "Who's this Tosca lady y'all talking
Yeah.
about?" Like, and then I talked to her, and she was like, "I was like, who is this Whitney girl y'all keep talking about?" But it was like, I could see myself, like, I don't know how much older Tosca is than me, that I was like, oh my gosh, like, that is me.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, I don't, women's retreats, I'm not gonna sit up here crying and being emotional, that. And she was like the same way, but she's like, no, you need it at times, this, that, the other. But I could be real with her, and the things that people are like, oh, Whitney, you're shallow about this, or you're just being too hard. Like, she understood, so, like, I connected in
Yeah.
a very much type of way. Um, and then learning, like I said, like, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and
Yes.
so
Yes.
my line sisters, these are like, I knew one of them when we started. Danae was like, people are like, are you guys sisters? And I'm like, no, not really, but, like, that was my road dog, you know. She's like,
Yeah.
that's what I would say, and I did track. So going through the process of that with 5 other ladies that I really didn't know, and you are together a lot. So you know how women are. At times we get emotional, we get hormonal, but guess what? You got to figure this stuff out
Yeah.
along the way. This is our journey. This is our
Yeah.
path. And so heck, we still in a group chat now. Look, what is it? 11 years later,
Yeah.
and talk. I'm like, hey, y'all pray for me for this, or I'm going through this, or they're like, oh, I'm dating this person. Oh, hold up, like, let's talk. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing them and knowing, like, okay, I have your back, like, literally have your back. Like, we got into some fights, like, I got your back. Like, someone trying to mess with you, like, no, seriously though, like,
Okay.
I done fought some people behind them, like, don't
Yeah.
touch her, bop, bop, bop. So
Oh,
do
and
I
we are
what the
not
Catholics
advocating
do?
fighting. Just
No,
saying, hey,
not,
look.
hey, but guess what? Like,
Yeah.
very much I will protect my friends, and
Right. Right.
I'm not just be like, oh yeah, go ahead, beat her up. No, kind of, no.
Yeah.
But learning and knowing, and, like, because I think we were all, you had, like, how many of us were there? There's 6 of us, and 1, 2, me, Nate. You had 3 athletes. 3 of 6. So we all had the same personality. Like, I can handle my own. I can do that. but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so we had this song that we like, who's it by? I Need You to Survive. I think it's Hezekiah Walker.
Yeah,
And they like, we did that because like we needed each other. Like we didn't know we needed each other at the time, but like everybody, like we said, like the body of Christ, we all had different parts. We were good at different things. We had different strengths, different weaknesses. And so, but coming together, we could get through what we needed to get through.
Yeah.
So, oh, I love them so much.
I can tell.
But really, I'm like, no, like those are my sisters. Some they get on my nerves at times. You know, we all got each other's nerves at times.
Yeah, yeah.
I love you. Like, you're stuck with me for life.
Right.
So,
you know, I love how you say that, you know, you felt like you were all sufficient in and of yourself. And then at some point you realize, oh my gosh, I need these people, right? Yeah, I mean, like, you need these people. Do you feel like just as you went over time, you realized that you needed them, or was it like abrupt, or was it just like a light bulb came on and you were like, ding, 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 ding?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like one of those things with your real siblings, like how my parents were, at least. If one of you are in trouble, you're all in trouble. So,
yeah.
like, dang, why do you have to go do this stupid stuff? You knew it was going to be a problem. Now look what we got to go do. You know, so there's accountability as well. And I had to think about my actions as well, too, because what I did affects them. And so it's a little bit of both. I think I realized later the more immediate like stuff, but later more the emotional, mental stuff.
Yeah.
Like, dang, y'all tell me I'm not crazy for feeling this way. You know, like, because for myself, I know other people probably the same way too. Like, you keep a lot of stuff in because you don't want to put it out there because people it's like being in school. Kids are mean, you know, like, oh, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And you're hurting. You know?
So,
you don't always want to put all your business out there because you don't know.
Right.
But until there became that level of trust with them, like, this is what happens with me. And we had those times as we were going through like breakdown times where things that we had been through came out. And it's like, dang, like, I get you. And even the fact that when we talk about like sexual violence, like they say, what, 1 in 3 women on a college campus? So you think 6 of us, there's got to be at least 2 of us in here. So you're talking about these different concepts. And because we know in that culture, people like don't talk about it because it's the shame, it's the guilt, it's this, that. But what we start to open up and we're like, dang, I get you. No, you're not crazy. I understand too. Like, I'm glad I have somebody to talk to. And so you realize, like, dang, I need other people. That was a hard concept for me. I am still like, I can still be like that. But I'll be like, okay, I need to interact with people.
Love it, because we became friends, like, out of that whole.
But don't get me wrong, I do like my time. Like in this Jesus retreated. Spent time by himself with the Father.
Hey, I give you space. I give you space. We a lot of
people
space.
Like get it. I'm that person. Like, you can come over, but I don't really want to talk. I just kind of want you here. Like, and your friends understand you. Like,
I get that.
She's kind of going through some stuff. I don't really need to say anything. She just needs somebody here. I'm like, yes, you understand me. But everybody's not like that. You develop and you learn. Like, just like you pick up things with siblings, like with my sisters, like, just small things. They can get on my sister's nerves. Chewing gum gets on my sister's nerves. Like, you want to irritate her, Courtney? She'd be like, can you please stop smacking your gum? And I'm like, I'm not even smacking. But to her, she hears, like, you know, like, to me, I hate being late. And I'd be like, let's go. Come on. Like, I know I'm coming. We're not that late. That late. We're still late. You know, like, you know, people, you grow, you learn. you know what makes each other tick.
Do you feel like you're a better person because you've made these connections with people?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because be vulnerable with it. I feel like it yeah.
It's me, I know.
It makes you, I mean, you're more vulnerable and it kind of softens you. But here's the thing that I had to learn, is all these walls that I had built to protect myself. It was also keeping out a lot of things that I really needed.
Oh yeah.
But it's that risk of but what if I put it back up? But like brick by brick, they start to come down, and then sometimes I put a couple more up, and like okay, I can let it go.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll be honest, like there's some
I love that.
Okay, we're good. Then I was like, oh no, we're building this, and we're gonna double enforce it again, and build a moat, and then build another one. Like I was that person.
Yeah.
So it it probably takes a little bit more for me as a person. Like, oh, that's my friend, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Because friendship is different to different people. What I consider a friendship, some people are like, oh yeah, Whitney's my friend, and I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know if I consider you that close. You're somebody I know that I respect, but friendship is one of those things I hold dear.
Yeah.
But that's not the same for everybody. And so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just different experiences, different perceptions. But better, absolutely. And I think having those relationships with like my sorors and just like at Rhema and being on teams, and especially like because the Holy Spirit did a work, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I feel like my relationships, even with my blood sisters, is better because of it. And having relationships with other women, because you see different perspectives. I'd be like, my sister is tripping. Like, just shut up. You're just that. But then when you see other people who are your friends, because, you know, your siblings can rub you differently and you can look at them a little bit different than other people. Sometimes you give other people a little bit more leeway and a break than your siblings.
Yeah.
Like, come on, get this stuff together.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, they're people. And if they weren't my sibling, would I talk to them like this? Would I, you know, like hold them to that standard? So I think like it's helped because I realized too, like, no, you get me though, you know me, but I have to understand also like just because I think you know me as well as you doesn't mean you really do. Because me and my, like, for instance, me and my sister had a conversation. Well, we really didn't have a conversation. We're not like we didn't grow up being like the best communicators about feelings.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one thing. And not anything wrong. That's just kind of how we were raised. That's how my mom's a little bit more. My mom's a teacher, but my dad's not. We're not like huggy people, right?
Yeah.
My mom, yeah. But so, for instance, like one of my friends, actually somebody who I dated had previously had passed away this December, and I was at my sister's when it happened, and I don't really like people hugging on me or whatever else. Even like when I'm like going through and grieving, I'm just like that. Like, let me handle it. Like, I want you here, whatever. But I remember my sister texting me and she was like, hey, I just want to say, like, I'm praying for you and I care. I really didn't know what to do. Like, I guess I'm so used to shoving stuff and just pushing stuff. Like, I feel bad because I felt like I should have been there more for you. But it's hard for me. And I was like, no, don't be sorry. Because it's hard for me to accept people doing that.
Yeah.
So I understand you because, hey, we grew up the same way. And I am the same way. Like, I'd be like, people crying like, it's all right. You know, like, what do you do? And so I was like, it's not a problem. Like, I appreciate, like, because in the process of us both getting saved and, you know, things like that, of her realizing too, like, hey, like, we got some issues, you know, and I'm not real good. I don't know all the time what to do. And I'm like, and it's cool because I don't know all the time how to accept people like
that's good.
Trying to console you when you're grieving. Like, okay, thanks, but it doesn't change anything, you know? So it was one of those things where I was like, dang, like, you're right. Like, we're just not good at that yet.
Yeah.
You know? And so learning that process, and I'm like, dang, like, okay, like, we're growing. And I feel like even in any deal, especially with sisterhood, we should always be growing and progressing and like having each other's backs and just, and that we say that like having each other's backs, like things, but like when life hits, who is there? You know, we always say
Yeah.
that doing stuff happens. Oh, I'm praying for you. Are you really? Did you
Yeah.
really pray?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you just said it because it was the right thing to say,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, like sisterhood is just, you can't really put it into words as
Yeah.
much as the experience that it is. Um, and even people now, I'm like, oh, that's my sister. Like,
Yeah.
I like one of my LSs, Ashley, she got married. We had a talk like the night before she got married, and being a bridesmaid, I was like, here's the thing: people pick bridesmaids. Oh, that's my friend, that's my best friend, this, that, the other. I was like, I'm gonna let y'all know when I get married, the people that are up there with me, like, you have to think you have two people coming together, making a covenant with God, and
Mm-hmm.
so you guys that are up there, you're part of that covenant now.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, here's my thing: I your husband is one of your promises from God. I'm here to protect your promise. When
Yeah.
stuff starts to happen, you better go work this out with your
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
come to me. No, go home and work this out. That's what I'm here for. I'm
Yeah.
not here just to, oh, we can take cute pictures for the wedding and do this. No, I'm here to protect the promise of you and your husband and your family because you guys made a
Yeah.
covenant.
Yeah.
I'm here to protect that.
Yeah.
And so when we think about that as well, like we think about the promises that we have and the things we're believing for, like as sisters, like come on, we are here to protect each other's promises and peace and see you thrive, not just like, and I had to learn too, like we've gotten to this deal of just surviving. And so we operate in one way versus, okay, now we can thrive and we can grow. And the people that are there up under you, like holding you up to help you like stay afloat. And then like, okay, now you got it, let's go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's one of those things too, like there's accountability and there's love corrects.
Yes.
I had to learn how to be a little more tactful in my correction.
Well, that's good.
But everybody is different. You can't be like, oh, Whitney, maybe you should probably like, Whitney, get it together. I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
dang, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because people receive things differently. People's love
Yeah.
languages are very different.
Yeah.
And communication styles are very different. I'm very direct
Mm-hmm.
type of person. Everybody is not like that. I'm like, can you just tell me what you need to tell me? But they don't operate like that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I had to learn like, Whitney, it's okay. Receive it how they're giving it. Don't stop worrying. But I had to tell myself, Whitney, everybody cannot take just that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
okay, so let's talk about this.
Yes. Yes. That's good though. That's really good.
I know I probably hurt people's feelings along the way. Not that I meant to, but I'm like, you know, when you see me like, no, you're better than this. Like, let's get this together and change it now. Like, and I think partly because I was around guys so much, and guys are very much to the point. It is what it is. Even like some of my best friends now, like my guy friends, they're like, Whitney, this, that, and I'm like, dang, that hurt my feelings. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about your feelings, and I'm like, touche. and that's how I would communicate because that's who I was around.
Yeah.
And not understanding like everybody doesn't take things like that, and women like we take things to heart a little bit more.
Yeah, we do.
You know, like
yeah.
And so I'm like had to learn and still learning.
Yeah, yeah. It's a progress, right? It's a process.
Even on the job.
Yeah. So let me ask you this though. What do you look for in friends? Like what kind of a friend do you look for? When do you bring that person into your circle?
The crazy thing is I don't be looking for them. Y'all just be finding me and like making your way in.
Seriously? Like I was on a plane. Like I didn't even like
look, I don't be because God really has to be like, throw somebody in there because me, I'm be like, I'm gonna sit back and just watch out the window. But even like Bailey, when I met Bailey, like understand like I knew Jordan from coaching together at Ramey before, and so before I moved back and came back to Ramey, he's like, oh, you have to meet my girlfriend. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's my brother. So who is this girl? And I remember when I met her, like, was in the laundry room at the NRC.
Yeah.
After basketball practice. She's like, hey, I'm Bailey. You know, Bailey has a very bubbly personality.
Extremely.
And I was like,
love Bailey.
oh, okay. All right. And I remember she told me, like, that she had went back and told Jordan, like, I don't think she likes me, but she's going to. We're going to be friends. And I'd always be like, dang, she is persistent. Like, just leave me alone. But that's one of my, like, best friends now, you know? So, like, I'm like, I don't really go searching. This is find me. God just like, here you go. You don't know what you need, so I'm going to give you what you need.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't say I was really persistent. Well, let me ask you this, because I know not every person can deal with accountability. Like, what do you do when you get a situation where you think you have somebody that's they're telling you about yourself, and then possibly that changes and you have to bring correction and it's not well received? Like, what do you do? How do you handle it? And do you try to rectify it?
Because I've been that person. It's a learning thing. Everybody is not at the point to receive all the time. And especially when it comes to matters of the heart and sensitive things, we get defensive. And I think part of that is understanding and knowing, like, hey, I love you, so therefore I'm telling you. I remember when I, like, first got saved, and that's a whole story. But it was like Holy Spirit. But like my brother, I call him my brother. He's my, like, spiritual brother, Dominic. Dominic would be like, this, you know, tell me, Whitney this. Whitney. I'm like, what? Like, you don't know me. That. Like, I'm like, when I tell you, I've had the epitome of, like, men of God in my life who were like a precept and example to me. But at the same time, because I'm like, this is like, you know, 2007, Whitney, okay? So let's keep perspective. Don't judge me. But boy, I cussed Dominic out. Like, cuss him out. And, like, he would never, like, raise his voice at me, never curse, never whatever. He'd be like, all right, Whitney, well, I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk about this. You know, that. Because I wasn't really at a point, like, because I was so always waiting for the catch with people, like, oh, you love me, but no, like, this is my brother, like, you truly love me. Like, this is a person I still call today. And, like, Pastor Turan and Matt and Brett and those people, like, that were there for, like, 3 years, like, really, like, discipled me. Like, y'all think you have patience with me? These people have patience.
Yeah.
Okay? And, like, love me through it, because there wasn't, like, I think part of the time when things aren't received, we look at ourselves like, oh, well, you don't want to take it from me. Like, it's not you, it's the message you bring, because it brings conviction. Ooh. And so we always have a chance to be like, when someone says something to me, I have a choice, right? Like, okay, I can take it, because at first you're going to be defensive regardless, but is this true? Is there, like, truth to what they're saying, or is there not? And you have to, like, identify yourself, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror, like, okay, there is some truth to what they're saying. And some of it, I think they misinterpreted it. Let me put that on the shelf. But I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, am I really like that? But it's a growing thing. It took me a long time to get to that.
Yeah.
And from some people, I receive it better than others.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, like I was telling you earlier before, like my pastor from Iowa State, like they know me in all my mess before getting saved. So the things and how he communicates to me, and the honesty and the things that he can say to me, if somebody like I just met before, like, oh, Whitney, you shouldn't do that. Do I know him?
Yeah.
Like, it might be true, it might be right. However, the relationship isn't always there. Even I had to say, but I think it's a growth, it's a maturity thing to, like, be able to, like, okay, is this right? Because I remember I moved back to New Orleans, and I knew it was gonna be hard. And I was like, I'm leaving, I'm going back, I'm moving back to Tulsa because it's easy. And of all people, my ex said to me, are you supposed to go? And I'm like, I know you ain't talking about living right and what you are on. You still running from God. But I
Yeah.
was like, dang. But like the Holy Spirit hit me and I was like, dang. Oh. But I was like, if he can speak through a donkey, he can speak through anybody. Because guess what? I've been that person at times. Who are you to say something? Look at the life you're living. You know? So
Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying. I know.
Love you, Whitney.
But hey, but it's a maturity thing, and I think a lot of times we look at ourselves like, oh, they don't want to listen to me because I said it. No, I had to do that with myself. And I tell myself, oh, so you don't want to listen to me? But I'm like, Whitney, it ain't about you. Like the Holy Spirit, Whitney, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it kind of was. Like, because we get defensive because you don't want to receive from me. Oh, fine. Well, then I ain't gonna tell you nothing from now on.
Ooh.
And that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, taking ourselves out of the equation, because I had to tell myself, like, with things, especially depending on the person and the relationship and the history you have with people, about how you talk to people. Like I told somebody yesterday, I was like, I am more aware of how and what I say to you and how I say it because of the history and how you receive things and how we talk. And so I try to be more aware. But, you know, sometimes when you get comfortable with people, it just, you're not as, your filters on there.
Yeah, or it's tactful. Yeah.
Right. But, and there's a thing too, because you talk about, oh, people are soft. Yeah, people can be soft at times. Like, just take it. Like, don't, everything doesn't have to be emotional, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a balance, I think. And, but I think it's a maturity thing too, because at the same time, when people say something to me, like, oh, Lord, who do you think you're talking? Oh, no, I know you ain't talking to me. You know what I mean? But then I'll be like, hold up, Whitney. Some of what they said is true, and you need to like look at yourself and identify that and correct it.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a time like taking our feelings out of it and our own ego out of it, and just identifying like if we're telling somebody something and out of love, understanding like we're doing because we love them, not because we want them to look at us like, oh, you know what you're talking about. Like, because guess what? There ain't nothing good about me. Because without Jesus, like I tell people, I need Jesus before I encounter anybody during the day. I need the word, because you guys, a lot of you guys didn't know me without Jesus. And you don't want to. Okay. So we have to keep it that way. So,
oh my God.
But it's like I said, it's a maturity thing.
Yeah.
And but it can be hard. Let's be honest. No one wants to be told like they're wrong. Like, I've gone through this a lot in my life.
Yeah. You know, I think like, when you say friendship, I mean, and I remember it's like kind of when we had started becoming friends and you were talking to me about your idea of friendship. I mean, secretly, I knew that was my perception of friendship, but I didn't say anything. I wasn't vocal. I was just like, yeah, I get that, you know, because for me, like I wholeheartedly, if we are friends, like I'm loyal, like that's it.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly support you, like with all my being. And I don't know why I'm like that, but I just am. So
I'm hot or I'm cold.
Yeah.
And you'll know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I don't necessarily.
I don't think Whitney likes me. If I didn't like you, you'd know.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily, if I don't feel like it's a friendship, like I'm not going to spend my time of investing. You'll think, I mean, we'll talk and I'll say stuff to you, but I'm not going to like put myself out there like that. And when I heard you say those things, I hadn't really thought about or verbalized it in that way. I want you to talk a little bit about, because you were a coach, kind of a part-time coach for a little bit. And I think you have like a really good perspective, because why are you smiling at me like that?
Because I don't know what you're about to ask.
I'm leading into it. You're pinky and the braining me right now. Okay. So back to what I was saying. You have a great perspective on team, and you had mentioned this before, like about the body of Christ. In Ephesians, it talks a lot about how we are knit together, how we're joined together, how we're supposed to, the Bible talks about how we're supposed to be one mind, of one accord, and things of that nature. And I think for a lot of people, it's easier to separate and try to live a Christian life than it is to work together as a team. Can you provide that from like kind of a coach perspective, working with a team and then being a part of that team that you once coached?
Yeah. Ooh, it definitely is. And depending on personalities and just life experiences as well. Like I played team sports growing up, but I also did individual sports. Like I ran track, so you ain't gotta rely on nobody. It's on me or it don't get done.
Right.
And I have nobody else to blame except if it doesn't get done, right? But in a team, like I am running because you messed up. Oh no. That's what we're not gonna do, right? And it's everybody has their different perceptions. Everybody's on teams for different reasons.
Yeah.
So Whitney hates to lose more than she likes to win. Okay, so I didn't have a choice to be an athlete. My parents had a weight room in their basement, and so this is who I am. This is what I've done. And so having that mindset is like losing isn't an option, friends. Like losing is not an option. You get it done. But everybody is not like that. Everybody doesn't have the same perception. They're on teams for different reasons. Some people just like the social aspect. And you have to understand and learn and work within all those different perceptions. And guess what? You say like basketball, we start conditioning August. Tournament is like February, March, right? So you're around people for like 9 months. This is like birthing things. Like seriously, like here you come together and there's something we have to birth by March. And what comes with that? Pain. Growing pain. And so it's one of those things too. You take all these different personalities and you come together on a team. And not only that, there's a level of submission because you have your coaches as well. But when you get to a college level, it's like I'm an adult. Like you ain't about to talk to me crazy. Because there's a level of respect, but yet there's also a level of submission.
Yeah.
And so that balance, because guess what? You don't always see it as a player. Sometimes you don't always see the big picture and the vision like a coach has. But what I've learned, I had a coach, John DeGata. He was crazy as all get out. Crazy as in he had a method to this madness. Okay, we're gonna do this and that, and we're gonna cycles and this, that. He's like the Olympic like throws coach, right? He lives at San Diego Olympic Training Center. So he knows what he's talking about. But like if you don't buy into the system, you're not going to progress. Okay. Right? So as part of this, it's a trust thing.
Yeah.
I trust you enough to know what you're talking about, to work 100% and do what you're saying, even though I'm like, I don't know how this is about to work out. This sounds crazy. You want us to do 2-a-days every day? This sounds like we're going to burn out. However, there was a method to it because with track, you want to peak at certain times on different meets. And he had a method to his madness. And it's the same way, like, okay, buy into the system and buy into how we coach because we see the bigger picture. We know what it's going to be like in March at the tournament. It ain't a cakewalk.
Yeah.
We've been there. We've done it multiple times. So understanding that like as a player and submitting to that is a whole nother, and it's a level of maturity as well and a level of trust. But even as a coach, as well, like dealing with different personalities and how everybody communicates. Like for me, like I remember telling coach, like, you ain't gotta holler at me. Like I was like, you can holler at me, it's okay, because we used to coach together. So it's like, but I was like, you can. She's like, I don't have to yell at you. And I'm like, I get it, but sometimes in a team, people feel like you play people like, even though you might not be playing favorites, you might just be slacking and we have to get on you all the time. But you're like, oh, they're picking on me. They never yell at this person because that person gives 100% every time. They don't have to be yelled at or told what to do. But there's maturity in learning that and identifying that as well. But at the same time, everybody has a shared experience. And you have to rely on people, and there's a level of trust. Like, say, for instance, I will never forget my first year coming back and playing. And I remember Coach Carey, we do this, it's a 4-on-4 drill.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're all lined up across the free throw line. There's some people on the baseline.
Okay.
And they throw the ball. One person has to run, hit the baseline, and then run back and help play defense. Well, you have to pick up, you have to move, you have to trust that your teammate's going to be in the spot they're supposed to be in, right? Because you're trying to, it's like one team against the other. So whoever gets more points and more stops, the number of times wins. And then they'll just kind of run line drills, right? So, and I remember, I remember her saying like, okay, I do this, and I pick up, she's like, because you don't trust that they're going to get back and do what they're supposed to do. And I'm like, you're dang right I don't. I don't, because guess what? They haven't done it the last 8 times. No, I don't. If I got to do it, I'll do it by myself if I have to do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I learned is me doing that all the time, picking up that slack, they're not going to grow, and they're never going to do it because I cover it.
Ooh, that's good.
But I don't like to lose either. And I don't want to have to run for somebody else. But there's like, you just have to let it go so they learn and understand it, even if you're going to have to run later. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? But you learn that early, because come March at the tournament, we can't be having these same mistakes.
Yeah.
When you don't get a break and you don't get a sub and you have to play 40 minutes the whole time, you don't want to have to be picking up extra slack.
Yeah.
So it's a trust thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like things come out, like even as a trainer, that's what I tell people, like you're like a therapist, okay? Because when your body hits as much as it can take, the emotional and mental stuff that's going on comes out as well. You're like, why are they crying? Like, we're not even working that hard. But guess what? They've hit a point physically and mentally that you can't hold it in anymore. And some people are better than others. But
so do me a favor, take what you just told me and turn that around and tell me about sisterhood in that concept, because I saw so many things right there, just in all of that.
Right.
Make
so it's
that
a level of trust.
connect.
And it's a level of trust, and it's a level of accountability, and taking it and being like I trust you with my life. You know what I mean? Like, can I trust you if something happens to me? Can I trust you with my kids, with my family? Like, I mean, these are real conversations. Like, I like things like talk about with my own sister. Like, if something happened, you ain't gotta worry. I'm here. Like, if you like that, even. I was talking to one of my LSs, my sorority sisters.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jasmine, like, I need to know, like, because she's spirit-filled and stuff too. And so we'd be having these conversations of like, if something happens, you better be there, because I need somebody there that knows, and like, you know me, you love me enough to speak the word and speak life, and I trust you to be there. As Pastor Mark Hankton say, like, no wavering allowed. You ain't coming in here because your faith is a little wavering. Sometimes you gotta get people out the room and get the right people in the room.
Yeah.
And it's the same way, I would say, even in sisterhood, because we have these deals of like, oh, sisterhood is just this like joyous thing. No, it's hard. Like I said, like, basketball season's hard. People get on your nerves, but you all have a common goal, and you have to you're working through your own mess, and then working through your mess with each other. Because guess what? I always like you. And we might fight at practice. We might have words, but at the end of the day, when we leave the court, it is what it is. It's practice. I still love you. And guess what? Like Sarah Robertson, I love Sarah. Sarah would be one of the people who I think is about to get in a fight, like on some of our games. But guess what? You might get on my nerves, but guess what? I'm gonna be there. If someone tries to like, I remember one girl like ran up on her like she was gonna swing on her. I'm like, oh no, like you're not gonna touch my sister.
Yeah.
That's what's about to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it's like that, but it's not always a physical thing. Sometimes it's like praying and interceding for people.
Yeah, that's good.
As well. Like, if the Holy Spirit tells you to wakes you up at 2 a.m. and is like, hey, pray for Whitney, I need y'all to pray.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people who did that, and I'm like, you literally probably saved my life.
Yeah.
Like, this is what was happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so,
great.
Birthing those things like, hey, we're here. God has put us here. Like, it's an ordained thing. Like, not just like in the physical, but spiritual as well, that there's power in numbers. And that's what I had to learn, because I can do a lot on my own. Believe, like, I can. And I like, because I don't want to have to depend on anybody else. Because if you don't pick up your slack, we're going to have a problem. You're freeloading. You just sit in the back of the boat and not rowing. No.
Yeah.
You need to row, even if it's a little bit, because there's going to be time when I get tired and I need you to pick up the slack.
That's good. And
that's a deal with the team, sisterhood, or whatever. Like, I know you're going to do your part. Yeah. And I have to be able to trust you. And trust is like a gained thing. But at some point, it's not that they can't be trusted. It's our own experiences of, I just can't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Some of them people were trustworthy, but I don't trust you because I don't trust nobody.
Right.
And that's not your problem. That's a me problem.
Right.
And I have to take ownership for it. So
I love that.
Yeah. It's
Girl, do you know?
I had to learn these things along the way. Like, it ain't been easy.
It is
There's
like
our
time is up. Our time is literally up. No joke. Like, we have gone through our time. It's been fun. Like, I've had a great time with you, right? So, guys, we totally appreciate you guys being here tonight for, just I've completely enjoyed my time with Whitney. I love Whitney. Love you, Whitney. But tonight we talked about the importance of friendship, the importance of sisterhood, the connection that comes with it, the vulnerability, then having to deal with your own stuff so that you can trust other people. And then what it means, what it looks like in the concept of a team. Hey, we are in this together. We are living life together. And sometimes we gotta fight, make up, and just keep moving. So, super excited about that. Look, next time we're going to have Chantel Nelson on here, and we're going to be talking about sisterhood from a married person's perspective. So until next time, we'll see you then. Bye. Say bye, Whitney.
Bye.